Alright guys, I'm going to shoot another video today because it's been a while and I had an idea that I wanted to get out, so I figured I'd go ahead and shoot 2 videos in one day. This is an idea that I had, I wanted to get out. Some of you guys may be very well aware of this information, some of you may not. However, I thought that it would be a good video to put out for those that may not be aware, and a good point of discussion for those of you who are. This video is going to specifically talk about knife brands in general that I wouldn't purchase brand new unless, and this is the caveat, unless it was a special limited edition model, or I wanted a very specific configuration and I didn't want to wait for it to become available on the secondary market. So obviously 3 of those brands are sitting right here in front of you, and I have one that I'm going to throw in a little bit because that market has kind of changed a little bit, so I don't know that it holds as true as it once did, but these definitely do, and I've got examples over here to show you guys. So that would be the Hinderer, the Reeves knives, and Emerson. Now, this is a mini A100. This is not a good example because this is a discontinued knife, but I'm talking about just Emerson as a whole. So we'll start over here with the Hinderer, and this is a Hinderer MP1, which is a fairly new model. If I'm not mistaken, it was released at Blade 2016. Just a regular plain Jane version, S35V in steel. I did upgrade the scale here when I sent it in to get some work done on it, but for all intents and purposes, this is just a regular production model, nothing special. This knife here retails for $450, and this is the Hinderer website. Let's see if I can get that on there. This is the Hinderer website, and you can see MP1, and even though this is the orange version, they all run in that price range. So this is $450. This specific knife cost me, I think, $300, maybe a little bit over. The example that I'm going to show you doesn't exactly match up, and I don't have the retail price pulled up on here because they don't have one listed, but the MP1s also come in full titanium. So this side is titanium as well as this side being titanium. Those knives are about $600 full retail. Well, if you look here, you can see a few examples. This is one, a full titanium. I think you guys can see that. A full titanium that sold for $450. There's another one on here that was $400 right here. This one was $400, and it was full titanium. So you're talking about pretty much $150 to $250 of savings just from the word go. That is why, in general, I would not purchase a Hinderer new, because you're gonna generally save in the ballpark of $75 to $100 pretty easily. I mean, there was a point in time where these knives were extremely expensive. They were only available to first responders, and I mean, people were paying $600, $700, $800 for a Hinderer knife. Now these are available to the general public, and the secondary market is very favorable to buyers, not so favorable to someone selling a Hinderer knife. So that's that on Hinderers. And like I said, I'm talking about these companies as a whole. The XM series, the same thing. That pretty much holds true with the $75 to $100 savings if you buy on the secondary, with the caveat that if you want a special model, like I know they have the Harpoon that comes out in 3V. It's like an XM18 model. That is a very specific model. If you want that, you're going to pay more on the secondary, more than likely, than you would for one new. And they sell out quickly. They're highly sought after. So there are some caveats, but if we're talking just plain production models, that you're going to definitely save $75 to $100 on a Hinderer knife. Reeves knives. Now, the example that I'm going to show you on the computer isn't the exact knife here, but the 2 knives do match up. So Reeves knives, these knives run $450 for the largest, $550 if you have inlays, and $600 for computer graphic large Sabenza 21s. So we're specifically looking at and talking about Sabenza 21s. There are a lot of these knives that have been produced. This is a knife that's been around a very long time. There are a lot of people that buy these knives. They don't even really use these knives, and they just sit them up on a shelf. So like I said, this is a $450 knife. I bought this knife used. and you can see it pretty much looks new. The knife was sharpened, but it was a good sharpening job, and I believe they even said it was a professional sharpening job. But the knife was sharpened. Came with the box, all the goods and everything. Same thing with the Hinderer, by the way. And this knife cost me $300 as well. So I saved $150 just by buying on the secondary market instead of going to the to GP Knives or Blade HQ, or, you know, fill in your favorite knife store. So you can see here an example, and this is Knives Ship Free. This is the only place at the time that had one of these in stock, or two that I could compare in stock. So this is $550, and if you look here, you can see that this is a, let's see if I can pull it up real quick. This is a large Sabenza with the micarta inlays, and let's see if I can get a better picture for you. The box and everything. Oh, there we go. Box and everything. And this knife, the guy wants $385 for the knife. So you can see here, asking $385 for the knife. So you're going from $550 to $385, and that's fairly common. You often see a significant savings, especially if you're a person that can be patient and wait a little bit. If you look on the secondary, you can routinely find Chris Reeves full-size knives in the $300 ballpark. So another knife that I wouldn't buy full retail unless there was a specific model you wanted. And with Chris Reeves knives, there really aren't too many knives that you can't find on the secondary unless you're really talking about the computer graphics models. And I think that that's a small niche market. I don't know that there are, the majority of the Chris Reeves fans are looking at the computer graphics. I think they're looking at just the standard production models, because unless you're looking for something older that came with a slightly different heat treat or in a different steel, or one of the very old models like the small P or large P or one of those models, pretty much all of Chris Reeves' production lines knives are the same. So there aren't too many special editions, was the point of that. Emerson, and again, like I said, this is a mini A100, so this is not the best example, but I do have an example, and again, it's not a direct comparison, but this guy here, he has a gray 8, a CQC 8, and he's asking $175. He also is including a leather sheath and I believe maybe one or two other things. He says the knife's been carried a couple of times and it still has the factory edge. So if you notice here, it specifically says it's gray. So this is a limited model, limited edition model. And here's the knife right here. So you can see it's got the black Teflon coated blade, and it's got the gray scales, which aren't coming out great on the computer. And it comes with this leather sheath, all for $175. So if we hop over to Emerson's website itself, this would be a CQC 8. And actually, you know what, guys? I think I pulled up the wrong one, because this is a full-size CQC 8. This is a mini CQC 8. So let me go back, which actually that's gonna increase the price. So give me 1 second. I apologize. I may or may not cut all of this out, but the full-size CQC 8 is gonna be a little bit more money than the knife that I just showed you. So CQC 8. And as you can see, a CQC 8 is going to be $263 with the same black Teflon blade. So this is just a regular run-of-the-mill production CQC 8. The gray CQC 8 costs even more money. So you can see here, you almost have $100 savings, $263.95, and this guy wants $175 for a lightly used limited edition with sheath CQC 8. So again, that's pretty common for Emerson models. Again, with the caveat, and Emerson does do a lot of special models, with the caveat, if you want a special model, you really need to buy that model when it comes out. Or if you want a specific configuration, sometimes you need to buy that when it comes out, because not all of the models and not all of the configurations are around forever. So there is a little caveat, but again, we're talking regular, plain Jane, pretty much available any day of the week, month, or year models to these companies. Now, The one brand that I did not include in the thumbnail and that I did not include in the main discussion is Strider, because Strider has restructured their business model some, so they're not as easy to come by, but they are still in production. They are still available. The prices are still roughly the same. The quantity is just not the same as it was before, and the places they're available are not the same before, so people are still kind of trying to hunt for these. So that's caused the secondary market to kind of bump the prices up some. But there was a time where a beater like this, and I specifically grabbed this one because this is just an old plain regular run-of-the-mill Tonto. The only difference is this is full flat ground. They don't make these anymore, but just a regular plain Jane black G10 flame titanium Tonto S&G. There was a point in time where you could pick up a plain Jane S&G for $300, $325 without looking too hard. Now retail is $425, and you're pretty much going to be looking, sometimes you can find them at $350 or so, but you're mostly going to be looking right around that $400 ballpark. So you can still save some money on the secondary, but it's not going to be nearly the amount of money that you were saving with these brands here, because with these brands we're talking about saving $100 pretty much across the board, fairly consistently. So that was just some information I wanted to put out. I look forward to hearing you guys' thoughts, getting your input, and if you weren't aware of these things, I hope that it helped you out some. And remember, a lazy man carries a dull knife.